I'm Tom LeGrand, IUSSP President. I'll be presiding over this meeting. I want to start with some opening remarks and a review of the agenda, and then we'll move on to the main parts of the meeting, which will be given essentially by our Secretary General and incoming new president. As everyone knows, the last 4 years have been marked by the COVID pandemic. This has required huge changes in how we operate for the Secretariat, the Council, our scientific panels, and our other groups, challenges that have been largely met. We quickly pivoted from on-site panel seminars and events like the annual laureate ceremony to webinars, online council meetings, this online General Assembly, and most importantly, to making great adjustments to the format and operation of the upcoming International Population Council to allow it to run as a worldwide cyber conference with very long days. I think it's 18 or 20-hour days to cover the different time zones. The Secretariat moved their work to their homes for much of the past 18 months, allowing the business of the Union to continue seamlessly. One big worry on the horizon that Shireen and Nico will both address concerns core funding. Core support from our Hewlett grant, from our big Hewlett Foundation grant, which has provided our largest source of funding over the past years, is ending. And there's a great deal of uncertainty over whether they will continue funding us in some form in future years. Core support from the French government, with the exception of INED, has similarly ended. I want to express our real gratitude to these institutions for their support over the past years, even if to a large degree it is or may be ending. Our grant funding is increasingly coming from projects tied to specific activities, and especially one big project, the Urban Family Planning Project. This puts us in a more precarious funding position and places burdens on the Secretariat to manage those additional activities. I'm now going to take a few minutes to rapidly review the agenda for this meeting, which everyone should have already received and which you can see on the screen. If you have something to add to the agenda, please rapidly write your request using the chat button at the bottom of the screen. And if your connection is good enough, I'd also like people to please try and keep your videos on throughout this meeting so we can see everyone's faces. The next parts of the meeting concern a review of our accomplishments over the past 4 years. This will start by a review of IUSSP activities and finances by Nico van Nieuwenhuizen, IUSSP General Secretary and Treasurer, based on the report sent out to you a few days back. This will be followed by a period of question and answers and discussion from the floor. And there will be a vote of approval on the report and activities, on the activities and financial situation of the Union. This is required by law. We will then split into breakout rooms for about 20 minutes to allow participants to talk with members of the various IUSSP panels and also to our early career task force. I'd like to invite the leaders of these panels to start with a very brief 2-3 sentences description of their work and to say whether they are thinking of requesting a renewal or extension of their panel for the next council. Coming back together, the final 2 agenda items concern the future, and they will be presented by Shireen Jujuboy, incoming IUSSP president. These are presenting the next council and announcing the site of the 2025 IPC. Please stay on board. That's going to be a very nice place for the next conference. She will then move to reflections on the challenges facing the Union over the next 4 years and priorities for moving forward. I'll stop for one little second. Paul and Nico, have we received any additions, suggestions of additions? Then I'll take it everyone has approved the agenda and we don't need to add anything to it. Okay, I want to end my introduction with a few quick personal comments and general thanks. I have been on the IUSSP Council myself as a regular member, as vice president. Oops, I talked just a bit. Okay, vice president and president for 16 years now. This has been an enormously rewarding experience, working with close colleagues united by our strong belief in the importance of the IUSSP and our common passion to make the Union as vibrant and as effective as possible. In my view, this has been a very good council and bureau. I cannot think of a better group of colleagues with whom I would have liked to have worked in the face of the drastic changes forced upon us by the COVID pandemic, and also to reflect and help move the IUSSP into the future. In particular, our successes in developing the Urban Family Planning Program funded by Gates and the many activities organized around the data revolution funded by Hewlett and others, Canadian CEDA and others, both with substantial training components, have given me enormous personal satisfaction. To everyone here, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve. This has been the high point of my career. I want to make a special note of thanks from myself, Shireen Jujuboy, Nico van Nemwingen, the members of the council, and from the union as a whole to the IUSSP Secretariat, led by the very able hands of Mary Ellen Zupin and Paul Monet. Working with them closely over the years has revealed just how dedicated and how good they are. And they have often been called to work very long hours, showing a flexibility in working well into the evenings or on weekends at times to accommodate the activities held in different time zones, especially during this time of COVID. Our successes are in very large part due to the hard work of the Secretariat, and much of which is not visible to ordinary IUSSP members. Many other people also deserve special recognition. Essentially, all the substantive work at the IUSSP regarding research, training, international meetings and exchanges are done by our scientific panels, our early career task force, and by several other groups and people who have given generously of their time for those activities. They are volunteers. Simply said, the effectiveness and the achievements of the IUSSP relies upon the very substantial efforts of these people over the years. And as with the Secretariat, our accomplishments are truly due to them. Lastly, I want to thank our Indian partners, and in particular, the Indian Association for the Study of Population, headed by Dr. Somayajulu, who generously invited us to hold the 2021 conference in Hyderabad. And when that became impossible, they maintained their commitments and hard work for making the conference a success. Thank you. That's the end of my introduction. I'll pass the microphone on to Nico for the next part of this meeting.
Thank you, Tom. I'll just try to get my PowerPoint started. Okay, everybody can see it, I hope. Okay, this is it. Hello, everybody. So it's my pleasure and also my duty, by the way, to give you an overview of what we have accomplished since our last General Assembly in Cape Town. And I will keep it as short as possible, but this will be very difficult. This is a warning because we have achieved a lot over the past few years. As Tom already said, more information is given in the background report, so you can all read up on that if you want to. So let's have a look at what we have accomplished. Here is the take-home message. And as to be expected, some things are looking good and others are maybe looking less good. On the positive side, so we have some 2,000 members, including some 700 student members, 19 panels and an early career task force, and other groups working as well. And all of them and all of us have been navigating flexibly the pandemic, and we have made a change to a virtual environment in a very short time. And we have organized more events and we have reached more people than ever before in the history of the Union. So that's all great. Not so great, and something to think about and also to act about, is that membership levels have been declining over the past decade, but now they seem to be leveling off. And as Tom already mentioned, core funding, which is very important for the Union, for our operational cost, is also dwindling and declining. This is a matter of great concern to us, and we hope that we can keep some of that funding. Income from special projects, as you will see later, and from conference fees are needed. And our financial reserves are definitely needed as well to make ends meet. But the total picture is that we are a very vibrant community and that we are ready to face all the new challenges that we will meet in the next couple of years. The next slide go. Well, this was supposed to go automatically. Okay. Here is an overview of the scientific panels and the groups that we have and the early career task force. I always refer to this as the engine room of the IUSSP because here is where all, if not most, of the work is being done. These are very active groups and we are very grateful to them. And the Early Career Task Force was the latest addition to that, and that is to boost the involvement of the next generation of population experts in our work. Now, from Cape Town to Hyderabad, what did happen? We had, as I said, more events involving more participants. We had a total of 84 activities, including the 5 cyber seminars, 8 seminars, 5 conferences, an expert meeting, the working groups, training workshops. Well, you can read for yourself the side meetings at conferences, a whole lot of activities. And in addition to those activities, we organized a very large number of smaller business meetings. These are now virtual, and this is what we refer to as the new normal. And speaking of that, I think that will stay with us, this new normal, because for these business meetings and also for other meetings, the virtual environment has proven to be a very good environment. So they will continue with us in the future. And I think we will have a kind of a mixed mode for working both live and virtual conferences, because conferences especially and other scientific activities are of course very important to organize live, as we hope that we will soon have again. We reached out and connected some 6,600 participants in all these activities, and about half of them were from low and middle income countries. So more events and more people that we were able to connect in our activities. We're very proud of that. The Council also worked on new policies, and not surprisingly, they are to move the Union in this day and age to a safer and a greener Union, as we all want to be. These policies are in addition to the plagiarism policy that we already have and the privacy policy, which protects all our data. And the new one is the IUSSP anti-harassment policy and code of conduct, aiming to make the Union a safer place, free from all forms of harassment and discrimination. And it's good to know that several members contributed with the Council, helped the Council to draft this policy, for which we are very grateful. And of course, in this day, it's more urgent than ever to have also the second policy, which is our environment policy. You can read here what it's all about. It's also on our website, like the other policies. And the main thrust there is to decrease the footprint of our activities as much as possible in the future. And as I just mentioned, in the new normal, where we have more virtual meetings, we already make a big step towards that, reducing the footprint. Over to membership. Well, you can see for yourself, here are the membership trends since 2012. You see that they are leveling off. The Council has aimed always to retain, to hold on to members, to current members as much as possible, also through introducing several reductions in the membership fees for various groups, including also the older members. In these difficult COVID times last year, we introduced a honor-based reduced fee for members who had difficulty to pay their membership fee. And we introduced a free membership fee for students, enabling them to join the Union and hoping that once they have a taste of our activities, they will, of course, after their studies, stay on as paying members in the Union. Here you see a breakdown of membership by region. A bit of apologies to Oceania. This is the green slice in the pie, but I didn't have enough space to put Oceania there. Okay. We need to move on to the money. Let's have a look at the money. This is what goes out, our expenses, and you see that most of our the largest share of our expenses go to scientific activities. This is over the period 2017-2020, and a large chunk also go to salaries, and of course also to the International Population Conference. As a point of reference, total expenses in the year 2020 were about 2.5 million euro. This is what comes in, and there you already see that project grants, we will come back to that later, are the largest share of our income. Operation grants, these are for the core costs, cover 11% of our income, and membership fee 6%. And again, to give you a point of reference, total income for 2020 was 2.4 million. Now, I have to say that these expenses You have seen from the documents that our independent auditors from Mazars have approved of all our financial accounts for the years 2017 to 2020. We're very grateful for that and very happy with it. And it includes a big compliment for Mary Ellen and for Barbara Cacci, our finance officer, for keeping our books and doing this in a perfect way. We're very happy with that. And those overviews from Mazars also show that our balance sheet, so what we are worth actually, looks very healthy. If you look at the liabilities and the assets, we have a general reserve of about 1.8 million euro. Now, this is a lot of money, but we need that money, and I will come back again to that later, to cover a risk that we are running and also to make ends meet. So here's the graph where we show the trend in the grants. The flat one is the core cost for operation funding, and the blue one is for the project cost. Okay, projects and training. What is interesting to note is that funders are more interested in funding projects than in operation cost. That's a trend that has been going on for several years, and we are largely hit by that. And it's very difficult to turn that trend, but we hope that we can keep some of that core funding. But the project funding that we are have been able to raise is very important for the union. Here are some of the projects that we had over the past years. It's the data revolution, data for development project, but with a very large chunk of our activities. It's the urban family planning project, similarly, population and poverty group and their activities. The FRANET, which was research and policy in Francophone Africa. The civil registration and vital statistics project, unintended pregnancy project, and the contraceptive transition project. These large-scale projects are very important, not only from a scientific point of view, which is of course most important for us, but also it helps us to, for financial reasons, it helps us to cover administrative costs that we are running in the union. So projects are important for us and will remain important for us in the near future. Okay, let's move on to the training. We have had several training workshops, more information on training as again in the documents. And in a counting down to the main event, International Population Conference, we have 4 training events that have been very successful, attracting a lot of participants. Okay. Now to the main dish, of course. This is the main event, our flagship conference. And over the past months, we had the call for papers. As you will remember, there were 26 teams in the call for papers. Our conveners, big thank you to our conveners, managed to organize 207 oral sessions and 23 poster sessions. We have several research leader sessions, which are sponsored, very interesting topics. And in addition to that, we have invited sessions like keynotes, roundtables, and debates. Now, all in all, this is a very large conference with, you will find anything and everything for any taste. So you should absolutely join that conference. And in total, we have 1,175 scientific communications. This is something to keep in mind. This virtual conference comes at cost to the IUSSP, both in time and money. And let me explain this a little bit, because for this virtual conference, all the cost of organizing fell on the IUSSP. And this is very different from regular live conferences, where local organizers take, for instance, care of the cost of the venue, but all organizing lots of other activities. In a virtual setting, this is not possible. All the cost came to the IUSSP. Just to give you an example, for the virtual platform alone, we paid $200,000. And then you have also to count, of course, for the staff cost and any other costs that are there. Just to say that, because we have received some complaints or some comments that the registration fees for the conference are rather high, just to remember that virtual conferences do not come for free. And we hope with this conference to break even. We may run a slight loss, but that's what the reserves are for. So please remember this one, and let's just forget about all this money and just enjoy the conference because it will be a great event. Okay, we are very grateful that we have lots of sponsors supporting our activities, and I'll just mention a few of them. And this is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, the International Development Research Center of Canada, the United Nations Population Fund, of course, and the government of France. And I'm happy to say that there are many other donors, and including donations from individual members, for which we are grateful. We are grateful for all donations, large and small. So we hope that with our work, we will prove that we deserve those donations and that you will keep donating to us. A special word of thanks, of course, to our host and friends of the INED, the French National Institute, for its continuing support to the IUSSP and hospitality. We love to be with INED, and we hope to continue that for a very long time. We just moved with them to their new place in the campus Condorcet in the north of Paris, and we hope to stay with them for a very long time. A big thank you, merci beaucoup for INED. And of course, Tom already mentioned to this, the IUSSP only works because of the countless volunteers contributing their time, their money, or their, well, not their money, but also their money, their time and their effort to the IUSSP, for which we are very grateful. This is really the lifeblood of the union. And finally, but definitely last but not least, and Tom already said, and I just can mirror his words, a big thank you to our great team in Paris. And here they are. And without them, none of what I just mentioned would have been possible, and we are eternally grateful to them. And by the way, it's a great pleasure to work with them and a lot of fun. Thank you all, and listening, waiting to hear your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. You have probably just seen simultaneous translation has just become available. So for those that need it, please turn it on. Vous avez probablement vu que l'interprétation simultanée vient d'être mise en marche. Donc, si vous en avez besoin, allez-y. C'est le bouton en bas qui dit interprétation. Okay, we have a few minutes now. I think we've foreseen up to 20 minutes at most. If you have questions, I'd like to ask you to write your questions or comments using the chat button at the bottom, or alternatively, please use at the bottom, you have, what's it called? A reaction, and you can raise your hand, and we can give you the ability to ask orally the question, though I would ask you, we have a lot of things to cover. Please keep your questions or your comments brief. So wait a minute or two, see if anyone has anything they want to ask or say.
We have a raised hand for Nuruddin Al Hassan. You want to ask a question?
Yes, thank you all for the good job, and congratulations to Mary Ellen and the council members. I know when we met in Cape Town 5 years ago, nobody anticipated that we'll have pandemics. My question is, going forward, are we factoring the pandemics into our planning of the union? Thank you.
The short, if I may, the short answer for that is yes, we are factoring in the pandemics, even the current one with all the ups and downs that it keeps having. We will have to, this is part of the new reality, we will have to deal with uncertainties, and we will have to be on our toes all the time and remain flexible. We have proven, and thanks to the Secretariat team, we have proven that we're able to do so. And I'm afraid that we will have to continue doing so, because that's part of the sad reality that we are experiencing.
I can jump in quickly. I think that's a good question. With advances in information technology and also the environmental concerns over many international meetings, I think the pandemic forcing us to go online was kind of a big accelerator in a direction we needed to go anyway. We recognize the enormous value of getting together. I think that nothing replaces International Population Council, a conference, sorry, where you are together for 5 days. You can easily, informally talk with many different people. That's enormously important. And we do recognize the importance. I don't think we can move to cyber conference forever, but I think many of the seminars that we have, a lot of, as Nico said, many of the regular business meetings we have, the council meetings, many of those things can be online. That is good for the environment, that's good for our budget, and this has just accelerated a transition in this direction. So in a sense, it's been good.
There is a question, if I may, in the chat. How are IUSSP activities visible to non-members? The answer to that is they are visible on our website. That is open to everybody, and you can see all the activities there. We have organized over the past year and a half a lot of webinars and training workshops and seminars that were all available and accessible to non-members. So we have been very open and welcoming to people who are not yet a member of the IUSSP, and I would like to stress the yet, because all these things cost money. Members bring membership fees, and we need those fees also. So we hope that people will become members, but a lot of our activities are just we're available to non-members as well. And there is something to add there. We have an IUSSP, which is a great magazine that is run by Gustavo De Santis in Italy and his team. And that is actually the best way for everybody in the whole wide world to learn about IUSSP activities and IUSSP project and research projects in general. So that's the one of your major resources there. So do join that bulletin, follow that. And a big thank you also to Gustavo and his team there. I don't see any more questions, so
maybe I'll just make one last little comment that I don't think came through clearly in your presentation. If you saw the presentation of our sources of income, membership fees were not real big. They were there, but they weren't that important. They are much more important than they seem, not in terms of amounts. We are serving the international community of demographers. Project fees are for specific activities. We cannot use those funds for the general things that we are doing. Membership fees are not attached to specific activities. And a few other things, the former core funding was not attached to specific activities. This is kind of the oil. A small amount of it allows us to go an awful long distance, and it is essential that we do everything possible to maintain and increase the number of members and fees to allow us to continue to serve the international community. Otherwise, we end up being an NGO that does projects, and that's not an association.
Tom, I couldn't agree with you more, and thank you for adding this, because it was money-wise, it was maybe a small amount, but it's indeed vital. I referred also to it, the lifeblood of the union, but these fees are very important to us. And well, like over the past 4 years, we always agree. So we also agree on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a question from Tom Emery to you, Nico.
Let me see. Can I just ask you to repeat the cost of the online platform for the conference? My connection broke a bit. Okay, so for the online platform Open Water, we paid $200,000. That included a lot of cost for technical support that we wanted to have, because we want to make sure that the conference is running very well. So in every Zoom room, there will be a technical team available to help with the starting of the recordings and all other kind of problems. So $200,000, Tom Emery, is the cost for Open Water for our conference. And there are, of course, additional costs because we have also a platform for interactive posters, GatherTown. There are some extra costs there also. But Open Water, the platform was $200 US. Yeah.
There's a question to you, I think. We can create coalitions with other regional national population associations.
Yes, we do that on a regular basis. We started that already some time ago. That at our conferences, we invite the regional associations to join and to organize sessions with us. We have seen that that very good habit is now being taken over by others as well. So we will definitely forge more collaboration with international associations across the world. So we're very happy also to organize sessions there, as we did last time around. We did it in ALAP, we did it in Asia, so we will definitely continue.
Yeah. He's asking also about joint dues where you pay to one. I think we've started moving a little bit in that direction with IUSSP, the African, at least they can pay their dues on our website, and that's something we should consider probably in the future.
There is a question. Yeah, I see the question on are there plans and efforts to achieving increase in IUSSP members? I think the move for the free student membership was the most important move there. As I said before, it's a very popular. People have joined us, over 700 student members that we are having now. And we do hope that, which is a hypothesis, of course, but we do hope that they will stay on later as paying members. So these are activities that we will definitely continue, depending on what the new council is thinking. Any more membership campaigns, I cannot envision right now. People are aware of our activities. They have been able to visit our free, high quality webinars and seminars. So I think we will just have to continue on that path.
Diego Iturralde, I can never say his last name well, has raised his hand. Paul, can you unmute yourself and ask a question, Diego?
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd just like to extend on that issue about membership. I think if we had a look at that graph, it seems to be that membership peaks from conference to conference. So I see that Sunday Adedini has asked a question about investigating factors for the decline, but I'd perhaps like to extend this a little bit further. I'd like to ask about initiatives that we can undertake to reach out to national and regional associations to entice people to join the union. And as Nico has said, hopefully they will stay on as members beyond a particular conference. So I just want to put those ideas and those questions out there and see if there's any support for initiatives of that nature. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I think the council will be very interested to look into these possibilities. Also, to this joint membership or initiatives to combine it with regional associations, maybe something to look at. Speaking of the general trends, you see declining trends in membership across the globe, at least in the part of the world where I'm from, in Europe. You see that associations are having to face these declining trends. What you see, on the other hand, is, and we see the same in the IUSSP, that when you have a conference, membership peaks. So the big activities attract people to the event. They're interested in these events, and maybe a bit less so the organizational work behind it. This is something that I know from the European environment, that a lot of associations are dealing with that, and we have to find ways to cope with that. So we're open to any suggestions that people may have. I see a question. Oh, sorry, Tom. Yeah.
No, I was just going to mention at one of our council meetings, I remember one person said that, well, we're not getting that much money from membership dues. Why don't we just make it free? And that might work to draw in more members. But as I mentioned, the small amount of money we do get in is extraordinarily valuable to allow us to maintain our services. And especially with the decline in core funding, we really need to find ways to maintain membership.
And that links up to a question by former Secretary General Mary Kreitz, who was very sharp, noticing that did expenditure exceed income in the past 2 years? And the answer is yes. So there was a small decline in our reserve fund. What is the plan if the balance sheet goes negative? If we're going at the rate that we have seen in the past 4 years, this will be a very long time. But of course, this is something that in the end is not sustainable. So the prudent policies that previous councils have had, and also the current council has had, will continue, Mary, and we will have to keep a positive balance sheet, because we are running risks like facing this the current conference, that we may have a small loss, and we have to be able to cope with that.
So one last question, and then we might want to go to a vote from Jonathan Derek. I don't know, Nico, if you want to answer that.
Do we have any idea of the extent to which this relates to the size of population, researchers employed in academia, think tanks, NGO? Okay, people need to see the advantage of being a member. Most information activities are open to non-members. This is a very good point. So we have had long discussions in the past council, or in the current council, if not past, it's a current council, alive and kicking, that would we open up the activities for non-members? So on the one hand, you want the members who pay their fees, you want to give them the privilege of having access to scientific activities. On the other hand, we would like to reach out as much as possible. This is just built in our genes as scientists, to reach out to meet people from other disciplines, people from being non-members, just to attract people to our scientific activities. So we decided that for the virtual conferences, they would all be free, which of course is not an incentive per se for people to join. If you're an economist, you say, if you can't get it for free, why should I pay? If you're another scientist or another, you have another philosophy, you would say, well, if this organization has so many great activities that they allow for free, or that they give for free, it's worthwhile to become a member. Let's hope that a lot of people will have that attitude and will join us. But it's a very good point.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, we do have a lot to cover today. As I mentioned, it's a legal requirement for us to present you the report and have a vote to be sure that the membership agrees. So I'm going to ask you to fill out the vote that should have come up in front of you on your screen. It should have been a pop-up. If not, look down below, and to please answer the vote if you approve or disapprove of the report. It looks like we may have reached a stable point. There are no more people voting. There's still 20 people signed on who haven't voted. I see that no one has disapproved, 95% have approved, and 5% have opted to abstain. So I take it that the report is approved, and we can communicate that to the auditors and to the French government. Okay, that's good. We would now like to start a 20-minute period when people can move to breakout rooms with the specific IUSSP scientific panels, and also with the Early Career Task Force. So you can discuss, talk with people in those rooms about the activities that are going on, et cetera. And as I mentioned earlier, I would hope that the leaders who are there would just take 1 minute, briefly describe what you've been doing, and also mention if you plan to ask for a renewal of your panel for the next 4 years. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, or actually it's, in my screen it's come up. I think for some people you have to look at breakout rooms at the bottom, and for some you may have to click on more to get to the breakout rooms. We were just booted out of our room. I hope that your discussions were as fruitful as ours, and that you are as frustrated as me at being booted out right at after 20 minutes. We were having a very good discussion.
Quite short time for everybody.
Hopefully we can, at least you have heard the people that have great ideas, and you can continue the discussion with them outside of this meeting. We do have time limits, and I'm sorry, we probably should have budgeted an extra 5 minutes at least for this part, but it's too late now. Okay, so we need to get back to the main part of the meeting. The next part of the meeting will be actually run and presented by Shreen Jujuboy, the incoming president. And she has two things that she would like to present. One is presenting the 2022 to 25 council and announcing the location of the IPC 2025. I think we have a nice short video of that. And then also her closing remarks, which are considering challenges for the future. Shireen, take it away.
Thank you. I'll try and be short, and I'll try and read my notes. So let me start. I have the great honor of introducing you first to the incoming council that will join me with your support in working for the union. We have agreed that in the interest of time, all will just say hello so that they pop up on the screen. So incoming council members, please turn on your videos and audios, and let me start. So the new vice president is Laura Rodriguez Wong from Peru.
I'm very glad to see all of you, even if this is virtual environment. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of working with you.
Thanks. The new Secretary General and Treasurer, no one needs to introduce him, Nico van Nimwegen from the Netherlands.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
And the council members are Nkechi Owu from Ghana.
Hello, everyone. Pleased to be here as well.
Edith Gray from Australia.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Albert Esteve from Spain.
Hola. Hi. Thank you for trusting my, for voting me. I hope I can do a good service to the community.
Irene Kasik from Mexico.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here, and thanks for your trust.
Anne Moore from the US.
Hi, everybody. And I look forward to serving, and I look forward to working together. Thank you so much.
Mohammed Jalal Abbasi Shahbazi from Iran.
Hi, everyone. Great to be elected. Thanks for the vote. And it's an honor to work with the council on behalf of members. Thank you.
Thanks. Akani Akinyemi from Nigeria.
Hi, everybody. Greetings. I'm happy to serve. Thank you.
Shelley Clark from Canada.
Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be joining you all.
And Geraldine Dute from France.
Hello, everyone. Very glad to be with you and honored also. Thank you.
Nice to see you all and learn some new faces. So thank you. My next task, I'm delighted to announce the location of IPC 2025. IPC 2025 will be held in Brisbane, Australia. We're hugely grateful to the Australian National Organizing Committee for this invitation.
Congratulations.
And our council member, Edith Gray, for facilitating this. Here is a short preview of what promises to be an exciting IPC 2025. So, let me put the video on.
Hello and greetings from Australia. My name is Edith Gray, Head of Demography at the Australian National University and IUSSP Council member. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to invite you all to the International Population Conference 2025 in Brisbane, Australia. Australian demographers have a long history with the IUSSP, including two past presidents, Jack Corwell and Peter MacDonald. As the convener of the Australian Bid Committee and with the support of the Australian Population Association, it gives me enormous pride to bring this conference to Australia, and I'm happy to introduce you to some information about Brisbane and what we have in store for the IPC 2025. Population research has never been more important as we see the world shift and change through this pandemic, and 2025 will be an exciting opportunity to share all that we've learned. We have an enthusiastic and committed local organising committee who look forward to offering dedicated sessions for our region, including our Pacific Island neighbours. This conference is supported by 3 levels of government who understand the important contributions of population science. Brisbane is a compact city centred around the Brisbane River, which means it's perfectly designed to deliver extensive opportunities for the important formal and informal networking of this conference. Australia is a welcoming country, modern and multicultural. Our selected host city, Brisbane, is the capital of Queensland, which is Australia's favourite tourist region, allowing delegates to enjoy that quintessential Australian experience. We're very excited to have you all come to Brisbane in 2025, and here's just a taste of what you can experience.
Thank you. Some reflections for the next 4 years. Like every council, this new council will have its hands overflowing. More than ever before, with the SDGs coming upon us, and thanks in no small part to the pandemic and the climate crisis, global priorities are evolving. They are evolving among our members and our funders as well, and the IUSSP must change too, in what we do and how we do it. So in terms of what we do, we have done a lot over the last years, as both Nico and Tom have shown, and we need to build off these achievements, while at the same time adapting to the changing needs that these last few years have necessitated. A few examples: inequality and disadvantage continues to compromise population well-being, gender, youth, aging, migration, immigration. The list is long, and IUSSP has and can do a lot to enhance understanding and improve rigorous methodologies for doing so. Our data revolution work and other contributions to innovations to data and methods have been commendable and need to be pursued. IUSSP members have made major contributions to training with numerous online courses and training programs that Nico has described in detail, and this too needs to be continued. Our urban family planning project is a model for efforts to build evidence, support early career researchers, and at the same time, build links to policy outreach. And this model can be replicated. But new challenges exist. COVID-19 has widened inequity across many domains, and IUSSP has a lot to offer in terms of filling gaps in evidence and measurement, and offering direction for building back better. The climate crisis has huge implications for population, and IUSSP needs to be on the forefront for measuring and increasing understanding of these changes for populations. Your inputs in establishing and pursuing key thematic priorities will be invaluable. Every new council sends out a call for new or renewed scientific panels. Please respond as soon as you can, whenever you are ready, so you can contribute to shaping the union's research agenda from the early days of the new council. And how do we do all this? These last few years have taught us that times are changing. We need to say that. We have adapted already, as Nico and Tom have discussed, and we must continue to adapt our ways of providing services. Our online webinar format has been very successful and will surely continue for some panel seminars, for the laureate award ceremony, the General Assembly, if you approve, and to some extent, council meetings. These are less costly, have a smaller environmental footprint, and facilitate wider audience participation. But there is Zoom fatigue, which we must recognize, and where appropriate, we must ensure the continuation of in-person meetings. Also, we would like to develop new ways for IUSSP to become more involved in IUSSP activities, aside from our scientific panels, which are our core. Opportunities for members to volunteer for some activities are on the cards. Stories for the news bulletin, for example, social media outreach, helping with seeking funds are some ideas, but you may have more. For social media outreach, we look very much to our younger members to help us become more visible. We will also continue to make efforts to improve our website, and in all of these, your suggestions will be great. IUSSP must maintain and hopefully expand its membership. Membership fees help our activities, and the strength of our membership demonstrates our value, including to the donor community. So a plea from us to please maintain your membership and encourage your colleagues to join or remain members too. We are entering a difficult budgetary period, as noted by both Tom and Nico. Many foundations seem to be less inclined to support organizations like ours, preferring to fund national or local groups in low and middle income countries, called the decolonization of aid. Government budgets are constrained, so an important challenge will be to seek new sources of funds imaginatively. Less core funding and more project funding may be the way to go, or sadly, finding ways of living with a smaller budget. This will preoccupy the next council. We are lucky, though, to have a healthy reserve fund to help see us through. Continued support from INED, including for housing the IUSSP Secretariat in Paris, is very much appreciated. Tom has already thanked everyone, but let me end with a note of gratitude to our president himself on behalf of both the union and myself. Tom is passionate about the union and has steered it imaginatively and tirelessly through these tough years. Thank you, Tom, for guiding the union and for what you have taught me personally over these last years. Let me end by repeating, our strengths are those of our members. We welcome your ideas on how the IUSSP can better serve our members and be more responsive to the times. I hope to see you all at IPC 2021 in its exciting new format. Do attend. Thanks. Tom, over to you.
I need to unmute myself. Thank you very much, and for the kind words, Shireen. If there are no one wants to have a strong, urgent need to say anything, somebody does want to say something, I guess raise your hand rapidly. Otherwise, we are at the limit of this webinar. And I would hope to see everyone here in about a little over a week and a half or so for the International Population Conference. I don't see anyone raising their hands, so I guess that's it. Thank you very much. I guess one very last quick comment. This was a job that impassioned me, but I know I'm leaving it in very competent hands. And Shireen, you're running the show. Thank you.
Not for another month.
That's true. Goodbye, everyone. See you soon, I hope.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you
Bye.
for your support.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.